So with the rivalry game, what's this kind of mean to you as a coach here against South Carolina?
Well, it means a lot. Certainly, having been here, this will be my 10th one. You know, it's one of our biggest competitors, and certainly a game that's important to our fans and in our team. And you know, I think it's a game that Frank and I both wish sometimes got a little more media coverage and generate a little bit more throughout the state sometimes. But I think it's, you know, it's a really competitive game, and certainly a fierce but good rivalry. And you know, we have a lot of respect for their staff and the way they play, how hard they play, how competitive they are. I think both teams try to be very good defensively. We don't play the same ways, but I think there's a respect there that both coaching staffs have for each other, and I think that's good with this rivalry.
You haven't been home since November 21st, so what is going to have to change to break that 30-game streak you guys are on?
Yeah,
right now?
you know, we just need to play better. I thought we played very well against Colorado and probably ran out of gas a little bit at the end in that game. And then the last two games, we only played good for halves. In the second half of both Minnesota and Florida State, we played very poorly. You know, I'm disappointed in that. We've talked about it as a team. You know, I don't know the reasons exactly. I think Florida State elevated their play drastically, made one adjustment that probably bothered us a little bit and took us a while to figure some things out. And then once they got both teams got, you know, strong momentum and started feeling good at home, crowds got into the game and it became more difficult, and we just didn't respond very well. So, you know, we've talked about how we've got to handle a little bit of adversity better, and, you know, we're going to be in a very physical, tough game this Sunday.
Brad, how difficult has it been to evaluate this team, considering all the injuries you guys have had, and you've got other guys that are starters possibly sitting on the bench?
Yeah, a little bit. It's probably been a little more challenging than I would have liked. As much of anything, just practices, not having as many bodies in practice to go competitively against one another. Our walk-ons do a great job, but they're not physically at the level that you know, our scholarship guys are. And so when we're playing with 8 scholarship guys and you're trying to get in a lot of things and do a lot of things, usually you have your top 7 or 8 with you, and then you're kind of playing against whoever's left. And, you know, sometimes that's probably given us a false sense of how well we're doing. And, you know, maybe we don't get as tired because we're not competing against good players, good on good scholarship level guys, size and speed, as often in practice. We've really only been able to do it in small segments. And I think that's slowed a little bit of development on certain players. And then obviously the injuries themselves, you know, have slowed. You know, it has been nice. Clyde has been able to do half-court work here the last week and a half. And so that's been another body that's been able to help us. Jonathan Baird being back here the last really 2 weeks for practices, consistent practices, has started to kind of help and been able to allow us to do a little bit more. The last couple of days we've been able to do more than we've done in really a month because of Chase's injury and Alex Hemingway being out. And, so that part of it has been a little bit difficult.
Coach, when you look at South Carolina, how much of a matchup problem is A.J. Lawson with his length on the perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. You know, he's NBA level talent guy that has gotten tremendous experience playing overseas, as well as being a primary player now for South Carolina for 2 years. I mean, he can really score. He can shoot it. He can handle the ball. He can play the 1. He can play the 2. He's a problem, and you know, we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to him, and our guys are going to have to do a great job of trying to make, you know, if he does score, make him take several shots to do it.
With A.J. Lawson coming back, he hasn't really played that much this season, I think, if at all. How do you evaluate what he's done when he hasn't played that much this season?
A.J. Lawson?
Sorry, Keyshawn Bryant. my
Keyshawn
fault.
Bryant,
Yes,
yeah. Well, we know what kind of player he is because we saw him last year. He's a tremendous athlete, fierce competitive guy, really good attacking you in closeout situations, very good offensive rebounder. Obviously that's been hard for them. That's a big injury. I mean, he started a lot last year, and he's a good player. And, his athleticism, his competitive spirit really is, that's what Frank likes. And so you can see why he's, probably one of his favorites, I would imagine. And, he's starting to get back healthy. He's played 2 games, and I would look for him to play, significant minutes against us.
Coach, how encouraged are you with Sims shooting the ball a little bit better from 3 last couple games?
Yeah, that's, Amir's shooting is not anything we've ever been worried about. I know he started the year poorly, but, water finds its level, whatever the phrase is that people use, that he's gonna shoot the ball better, and he's made a couple in recent games, and, it's good for his confidence, and that's a part of who he is, but I've talked to him at length about that's not who he needs to become. He's a tough, physical, smart basketball player that can play inside and out and needs to do so to be very good. And, it's a different year for him. He's now one of the top guys on our scouting report for the first time in his life. There's no Marquise Reed, Elijah Thomas, Sheldon Mitchell, a lot of guys that were ahead of him. And so he's got a responsibility to play well and to produce. And that's not always points, but he's got to play in a certain way and with a confidence and a swagger about him that helps the younger guys and newer guys on our team. And our guys look to him for that. And so when he plays well and does those things, it really gives energy, positive energy to other guys. And when he's having a poor game, it's not because he's missed shots. It's because he hasn't defended, he hasn't rebounded, he hasn't maybe made some other plays, good basketball plays that we need him to do, and we ask a lot of him. So he's getting that message, but certainly to see him make a couple here recently is what we expected.
And Brett, sorry, but it's already been asked, but how's Clyde doing, and has your timeline for him changed, accelerated?
Well, there's a chance maybe as early as next week, maybe. It kind of depends. He's passed a couple of tests here recently in the last couple of days that has given us, hope for something to happen quickly. Now he still has to do a few more things, but he's been very competitive in half-court situations here the last, I'd say, week, 10 days. Still hasn't done full court stuff much, but he's involved in practices. So, we're optimistic that maybe there's a chance next week he could get a little time. If not then probably, right after Christmas, that would be the hope for us, as long as everything goes well. He's still got a few things he's got to do.
How about Chase? Do you have a prognosis or timetable for him?
Well, we're going to see. He's done a few things here the last couple days, and again, we just got to make sure and see how he responds. There might be a chance he could play a little bit in this game. He practiced well today, so we're again hopeful that if things go well and no problems in the next 24, 48 hours, that there'll be a chance he can help us a little bit.
Coach, you said in some of these away games that the crowd kind of has been working against you a little bit. When you're home in a rivalry, how important is it going to be for Clemson fans to really show up?
Yeah, we need our fans to come out and support us. There's no doubt that the energy level that we get from our crowd gives us a tremendous boost. At the same time, I think we've got to make sure that we're playing in a way that excites our fans, and we're trying to do that. But we have a young team. We have guys that need support. They're probably not quite as mature and don't handle adversity quite as well as maybe some teams in the past. And we've got to rally around our fans. And they've been great this year. We've had good crowds for many of our games at home, but certainly when we play South Carolina, this is a big game for us, and we're hopeful that now that we got a little break in football, that we might get even a few more out on a Sunday afternoon to support us.
The physicality of this team, does it change the way you put the lineup on the court and find that right mixture to go against us?
Yeah, I think, certainly sometimes South Carolina's big and strong, and they're trying to pound it inside. They rebound the fire out of the ball. They're extremely physical. They set great screens. They're big-bodied guys, and so our interior players are going to have to really come to play. They're going to be challenged. We're going to have to physically match their intensity level, and we're going to have to be physical in our own right. We're going to have to really block out. We got to really defend the post and be active. And this is something that you always have to do when you play their team. It's they're kind of a ground and pound team in terms of that when they get you into half court. They are playing fast though. They do push the ball, pitch it ahead, and really try to score early. They're not like a slow, methodical, pounded inside team. It's just when you take away their quick initial push, they're gonna give the inside the first look, and a lot of teams these days don't do that anymore.
What does Jonathan Baird kind of give this team when he's on the court for you guys?
He gives us more length, obviously. He moves well for his size. I think he's a very good passer, and so I think he helps our offense some, and with his ability to move the ball, because our four-man, if you will, handles the ball a good bit in our offense. And then he's a versatile guy because he can do some different things. He can play in some different places on the court. So yeah, he's a guy that I think really helps this team, gives us more size and length, something that we're a little bit short with. And it's good to have him back. Obviously, he's not like he was exactly before the injury, but he's certainly working to get there. And this team just needs more depth, and he'll certainly help in that area moving forward. All good?
Thank you, Coach.